Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and stay tuned by clicking the bell icon. Shocking reboot revelations. Another World stars share their take on All My Children revival. Many of the cast members of Another World have expressed their interest in a potential reboot of the show as a movie on Lifetime. In light of the news that All My Children is potentially being rebooted as a holiday movie on Lifetime, Soap Hub reached out to a few of your favorite Another World alums to see their thoughts about the potential to bring their show back. AW history. AW aired on NBC from May 4, 1964 to June 25, 1999. The show also had two spin-offs, Somerset, which aired from 1970 to 1976, and Texas, which aired from 1980 to 1982. Joe Barbara Joe. How would you feel about AW being rebooted as a movie? I'd love to see the show rebooted as a movie. My first question would be who's going to write it? Which Joe Carlino would they have in mind? The original one who came on as a renegade and took risks? Or the eventual one who told everyone they needed to follow the rules? Where do you see Joe at this stage of his life? At this stage of Joe's life, he'd be the newly hired director of the Secret Service. What do you miss about being in the soap industry? I've spent lots of time over the last 25 years in musical theater, Broadway, Vegas, etc. However, there are many things I miss about soaps. The ability to play new material every day, as opposed to theater. The schedule, having evenings and weekends off, the pizza from Brooklyn, and Johnny Pinto, camera operator. Most of all, I'd truly love to be able to do it all over again with the experience and knowledge about life, and about work that I didn't have in my 20s. Alice Barrett Mitchell Frankie. How would you feel about AW being rebooted as a movie? I don't think that soaps would work in a film format. The pleasure of soaps is the long-term relationships, the episodic nature of the storytelling. A film would have to narrow the focus of the character canvas, as it were. How do you choose whom to feature and who to ignore? I personally don't think it's feasible. Would you have a good idea on how they could bring Frankie back to the land of the living, or would you be out being seen as a ghost? If someone somehow chose to revive AW, I believe it would make most sense to bring Frankie back as a ghost. I actually proposed to the powers that be at the time that I was being written off that they allow Frankie to help cast solve her murder. I thought it could be comedic in a topper way, if you're old enough to even know what that means. I've always said that I was the one character in soap history who was killed so dead, that when they brought me back, they couldn't bring me back as me, but as someone who looked remarkably like me. What do you miss about being in the soap industry? I miss the familial nature of the work environment. Maybe AW was singular in that we were somewhat isolated out in the middle of Brooklyn, as opposed to in Manhattan. But we definitely felt like a family, and, needless to say, it was nice to have the steady income in a job that I loved so very, very much. It was an answer to a prayer, and talk about family, our fans, the best. Linda Dono Felicia. How would you feel in AW was being rebooted as a movie, and do you think it could work? I absolutely think it could work. If the people are bonded in the way that my company of actors on AW will probably agree, that when you have that kind of bond with each other, it becomes so real and so effective to the audience when they're watching it. I always got mail that would say that. People would write to me and say, "You have no idea what you're doing for me when you talk about the alcoholism and how it affects me because I have that problem." Thank you. I find all of that meaningful. We were quite serious about everything. So yeah, I think it would work. I went to the 60th anniversary celebration for AW, which is just so sweet and so fun for all of us. I think that the fans who came were just joyful about it. There were so many of them, and it was so great to reconnect with all of them. They've watched from the beginning. I think it's so rewarding when you all share something. So if you ask me if AW, in some form or another, come back on the air, whether it be a radio show or a soap opera or a movie or whatever it is, I think the audience would come. Where do you see Felicia at this stage of her life? Old and a little fatter. I'm 81, but I don't feel it. I've never really worried about age in my life. I don't know why, really. I just don't. And I have a lot of friends who keep me young and who tell me I'm crazy if I think I'm old. So I live a life that isn't about waiting for the clock to tick. I think it's how you look at life and how you look at yourself and the choices you make. And I think if you can make the right ones, you will have a glorious life until it ends. And then I believe, of course, you go right smack into heaven. I've got my whole list of friends, family, everybody that is waiting for me at the gate. If you like the video, don't forget to like, comment, and share.